you've got to pay for those materials. If you don't pay for those materials, it's going to be tough on the next project to get materials, if you've got the job or not. So, you can't touch it like you can't touch your materials.
How can I make up this 15% to be more aggressive with my bid?
What's up, guys? Welcome to ProfitDig Live. My name's Chris Work. I'm here with partners Jeff Spencer.
Hey, guys.
Jeff Gibbons.
Woo!
Got producer Jerry behind the camera this evening.
What's up, Jerry?
Yeah, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. So I think we got a good topic for you guys. Jeff, what we gonna learn tonight?
Man, we were talking about how you can secure a bid in a time where you really need to get a bid because maybe you've got a gap in your projects and you need to secure that bid to make sure you've got cash flow coming in.
All right. Well, Jeff, I mean, you've been in this business a long time, so I'm sure you have some knowledge you can share here.
Yeah, and it's not ideal, especially back, looking back at 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, when things were really tough.
Well, but that was not,
But I mean, we got in the habit of working for cash flow, strictly, didn't care if we made any money or not, we wanted to keep the business going. We wanted to keep the guys we had employed.
Yeah.
And
we're not saying make a habit.
No, don't make a habit of it. But,
you got to weather the storm sometimes. Right.
Like Jeff Gibbons said, sometimes, we get in a predicament to where we get a little low on work. And, in one of our other videos, we're talking about rain delays and stuff and finding, certain projects, rock projects that'll get you through the winter, where you guys can work even whenever it's wet out. Those particular jobs that you got your eyes set on, like, hey, this would fit my bill pretty good. I need to really focus on this job, and one of the things you can do to give you an edge is find a way to cheapen your project up. We talked about this off camera a while ago. Over the years, I've talked to a lot of people and dealt with a lot of other contractors, and when they get hungry, get to looking for a job or something that they really want to fill a gap, they're like, well, I'm just going to knock 10% off my bid, or I'm going to knock 15% off my bid. Well, what happens, and you don't realize this, what you do when you just knock 15% off that bottom line, then you've taken 15% off your materials, you're taking 15% off any subcontractors you have out there, you took 15% off your labor, 15% off your equipment.
Hard cost.
Yeah, it's a hard cost. Yeah, that's going to cost you regardless.
Anyway, yeah.
So, in the real world, you've got to pay for those materials. If you don't pay for those materials, it's going to be tough on the next project to get materials. And it doesn't take long for your reputation to get known with material suppliers. Like, hey, they're not going to pay their bills, so don't be too eager to get them a good price. But
you don't want to end up blacklisted, right?
Right. So my recommendation would be, go ahead and prepare your bid as you normally would.
And your beer.
I was getting thirsty, I was thinking about that.
Hey, prepare your bid, prepare your beer, right?
They kind of go hand in hand.
But, as you're putting in your cost and stuff, pre-markup, you're putting in your cost for material, you're putting in your cost for any subcontractors you have under you, you're putting in your labor cost, your equipment cost, with your equipment cost goes fuel. So you've got to pay for those things, especially if you're renting equipment. So, you kind of have to if you own your equipment, you can do a little more, but if you're renting your equipment, you've got to leave it alone as well, because those monthly payments are going to come regardless if you've got the job or not. So, you can't touch it like you can't touch your materials. So when you got your materials in there and you got your rental equipment in there, the only advantage you have to cheapen up your job is to increase your production. Your labor is the only thing that you own out of all that, is your labor and the guys that work for you. So if there's a chance that you're going to break even or possibly even lose a little bit of money, which that's not the perfect scenario, but it happens. It's going to happen. The most successful companies out there today, they're going to have a project that's going to bust. They're going to have, if you're big enough, you're going to have multiple projects that bust each year.
Yeah.
But, you're going to have other projects that do so well that's going to offset, for the most part. But to have the advantage to cheapen up your bid, instead of just taking it off the bottom line and affecting everything in that bid, you need to increase your production rate.
And maybe, something to outline here is that you need a system or a tool in place. By the way, ProfitDig would be a good one.
Yes.
For this.
ProfitDig will do just that.
To where you can tweak those numbers, right? Like if you just take a flat 15% off the top, like you said, that impacts everything. But do you really know where you can get that 15% from, if you had a tool that would let you break everything out by line item, break everything out by the type of work that you're doing, you could play with those numbers and see, how can I make up this 15% to be more aggressive with my bid? And you can analyze, okay, well, maybe I can compare this bid versus this bid. Now, okay, this is the one that I like. This is one I'm gonna submit, and it meets, I think I can reach this, and it meets my, financial targets that, that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just because that you have, and when you increase your production, just because you've done that doesn't mean that you've got to kind of be down the dumps knowing like, hey, I'm going in this job and there's a pretty good chance I'm going to lose money, which on paper, yeah, I mean, there's a pretty good chance because, you've increased your production by 30% to get that 15% off your bottom line you want. You've increased it, by X amount to try to win that job. But you got to be creative. When you get that job, now you got a task ahead. You got to talk to your guys like, hey guys, I put you on a rough predicament to get this job, but we all need this job, or if we don't get this job, some of you may go home.
Just putting food on the table.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Keep lights on.
I've taken a risk on this job to keep you guys employed, and just lay it out there for them. Y'all are key to right now to keeping our business going. It may not be that severe. I'm just saying, it may just be
In someone's situation, it
right.
could be, sure.
Yeah, in some situations it could be, but not every situation is going to be that severe.
Sure.
But explain to your guys like, hey, this is the production I expect y'all to get, or I hope y'all can get, to help us break even or make money on this job. Don't hold back. Let them know that this is what we got to do, and then behind the scenes, as an owner or a project manager, whoever you may be, you need to be looking at ways to find not necessarily shortcuts, but ways that you can speed up production, ways that you can increase your productivity on that job one way or another to help put money in your pocket. And good jobs to do this on is like when you see a job that you're bidding that you find mistakes that the engineers made, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get some change orders on that project. And, I would be focused as soon as I got a bid awarded, I'd be focused on how I'm going to address these situations and present these change orders and to try to get some more money. And that's where you can hit them a little bit harder. Say you've got 15% profit in your base bid, hit them for 25, 30% profit on your change
On
order.
the change order.
Yeah.
Slowly make it back up.
Slowly make it back up. Yeah. And, you can, there's certain situations you can take a bad job and make it one of your best jobs if you have enough change orders and you're smart enough and creative enough to find ways to increase production.
Yeah.
Is
Make
that
the
a
best
common-
out of a bad situation. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, is that a common occurrence? Finding mistakes in plans and drawings?
Oh yeah, and especially more so nowadays than it was years ago, just because everything is on such a fast pace. A lot of our hard bids we do on like 80% drawings. They're only 80% complete,
Oh, wow.
and we go in with hard numbers. Once they hit 80%, they figure that that's good enough, and then we'll work the kinks out. As everything comes together.
Yeah. Whew, that makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe to pull back on something you mentioned earlier, Jeff, you mentioned like in your line of work, maybe having some rock jobs during the rainy season. But like I think, key takeaway here is that that's your example, but whatever line of work that you're in,
Sure.
there are opportunities, whether your troublesome days are weather days, or maybe even just be like financial seasons for the companies you work for. It doesn't necessarily have to be climate related, right? You'll have an idea after you've been in your business for a while of like the ebbs and flows throughout the seasonal cycles in your geographic area. So look for ways that if you have the luxury that you can go ahead and plan ahead for maybe some of those troublesome time frames that you experience year in and year out, so that your business can be more consistent.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, hey man, that's good stuff, Jeff.
Yeah,
Appreciate it as always, and watch those bids, guys. Don't just mark off 15% off that final number.
Yeah.
Let's take a little deeper dive here.
The 15% hurts.
Woo, that's a lot. Yeah. Let's check those labor rates. Let's make it up somewhere. So hey, appreciate you guys checking in. I hope this was informative for you as it was for me. Jeff, appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
while you're here, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, let us know what you want to talk about. If you're watching this video, odds are you're in construction or you're just extremely bored. So check us out, ProfitDig.com, the world's easiest to
We're
use.
happy you made it here.
Yeah,
Right, you know?
yeah. We're sorry and happy at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
ProfitDig.com. Check us out.
See you guys.